choice. That's what we believe. We believe we're the chosen people. We don't believe Jews are the chosen people. We don't believe Jews are the ones going to the promised land. We don't think Jews are a part of God. No, Jews are nothing but another part of that same race of devils that come out of Europe. Black people are standing up. Black people are rising up, and they're starting fight.
We were slaves in Egypt. We belong to the Father, ain't no pledge of allegiance. We both to celebrate that killing that he didn't need you. We both to keep the holy days, don't be like the heathen.
For more than black women. But once they get to adults, why is it that there are less black men? First conspiracy point number one. But he also talks about why he believes so many black boys end up special ed.
Next issue, female teachers. We're also very concerned about female teachers. Remember, the exact percentage is 83% in the elementary grades. The number of black children in public schools, 17%. But black children are 41% of all the special ed children. Now 17 doesn't equal 41. LD, learning disabled, EMR, educable mentally retarded, BD, behavior disorder. It gets worse. If a black child's gonna be labeled special ed, 85% of the time it's going to be a black boy. Why is it not 50-50 black boy, black girl? Well, the reason may not be with just black children, Bill Moyers and Patrick Monahan. It may be up here at the top. It may be that female teachers may not know that boys are different than girls. You all didn't know that, didn't you? That boys are different than girls. I only want the women to answer. The men know they're different. I want to now hear the women to share with us what are some of the differences between boys and girls in the classroom.
You've been around when you're doing meeting with all these families. What part of the responsibility is mothers? What part of the responsibility is on the father? Because typically the blame goes on the father.
Well, there are no fathers. And see, the thing of it is, these men that just ran off and left the women, these women don't want the men. All they wanted was the babies. And see, you had people like the poetress Nikki Giovanni back in the 60s were going all around the country and they were lecturing the women, and they were young women, and they were saying, you don't need a father for your children. Just get prego, find one that looks good, smart, athletic. Yeah, that one. And don't even tell him that he's the daddy, because if you bring a man into the picture, they screw up everything. So there was this point where if you had the guy around, there was a problem. And then there was some that did want the guy around, but back when I first started practicing law 50 years ago, one of our number one cases was getting the check cut back on because some dingbat social worker would sit at the end of the block with binoculars, and if there was one or two of the 6 or 7 baby daddies trying to play father, they'd cut the check off. So we had problems with juvenile courts around the country where, Judge, that's not my kid. Well, you feed it long enough, he'll look just like you. So, you know, that was before DNA. And I can remember one thing. It was a cop I was representing, and he got a petition to increase the child support. So when they called the kid's name, I stood up, he stood up. 2 more lawyers stood up, and 2 other guys stood up. So this woman was collecting child support from 3 guys for the same kid. So we finagled getting some DNA testing, and none of the 3 were the daddies.
No way.
So, I mean, you have these horror stories going on.
That's some old school Jerry
Sir,
Springer.
was this mostly whites, blacks, Latinos?
Both.
All of the above?
All of the above. The juvenile courts, started privatizing and acquiring jurisdiction that used to be in superior or circuit courts. So they became dysfunctional circuses, and a lot of them privatized. And what happens is you want to promote dysfunction because that's business downstream.
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole in the country, right?
But this is who Roland Martin is telling black people to get behind, right? And she made it very clear to you back then, she was not going to do something that would only benefit the black community.
While she says she'll give $25,000 away, it's like the car dealer that says, look, the payments are going to be
$90 a month and no money down, but you get there and you leave with a $500 or $600 payment. It's impossible to deliver, like the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act that delivered nothing to this country. It was $3.2 trillion. That could have built 8 million homes, or it could have provided 48 million Black households with $300,000 in cash. But that didn't happen either.
Cardone said something interesting. He said instead of wasting a bunch of money that didn't help stimulate the economy at all and only made inflation worse, that money could have been used to build 8 million homes, or 48 million Black households could have received $300,000. Now, the Black people receiving money is the part that caught my attention. Grant Cardone is saying, hey, you know the reparations owed to the descendants of slaves? Well, instead of Kamala and Biden wasting money on these bad deals, like the Inflation Reduction Act, the money could have been used to finally deal with the long-suffering elephant in the room. When Grant is talking about money to Blacks, he's basically talking about reparations. But yeah, it was definitely a point that was interesting, considering Kamala Harris, the so-called Black American woman that's not Black American or Black, she's in office right now, and she already told us she would never do anything for Black people.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No.
No to us, but she could take money allocated for the Freedmen's Bank, money stolen from freed Black Americans, the designation and benefits that she's now trying to spread across to other minorities. I mean, any and everybody except for us. And it's cool for her to take from us and tell us she's not going to give us anything, only to turn around and allocate over $26 billion alone to her AAPI community, specifically using 2 federal programs, $20 billion in government contracts to AAPI businesses, and another $6 billion in funding. Remember, I reported on that over a week ago. That was for 2023 alone. The link to the full video is below, but it's amazing that you have a billionaire willing to tell the truth that they could have helped Black people with all that money. Meanwhile, you got Steve Harvey telling us to stop asking for tangibles.
If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I go down there.
Yeah, enough people are not falling for the joke Kamala is playing on America right now. Everybody's not stupid. That may work with her newfound diehard supporters that just realized they liked her 30 days ago, but people looking at this with common sense can easily see that she's running game. When the Washington Post and CNN, the folks that's been worshiping this woman for weeks now, had to come out and be honest about her horrible economic plan, then it's gotta be really bad. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about all this below. Grant Cardone is basically saying that Biden and Harris, they had the opportunity to help Black people with all this extra money they spent and the money they're spending, but refused to do it. And even when you look at Kamala's latest plan, that $25,000, that plan is set up to undermine Black Americans and lift up migrants. Tell me what you think about this below.
Arrested and charged. That's it. Was the first time you saw Kamala Harris in person the day that the verdict was issued?
She showed up at the 2 most pivotal times in this first trial, and me being convicted and me being sentenced. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction.
That's what it felt like, celebration?
A celebration, that's what it felt like. The reaction I get when I tell people my story is, they say it's the worst nightmare. You know, it's the closest thing to dying.
Well, I want to read you a quote real quick. The job of a progressive prosecutor is to look out for those overlooked, to speak up for those whose voices aren't being heard, to see and address the causes of crime, not just their consequences, and to shine a light on the inequality and unfairness that lead to injustice. It is to recognize that not everyone needs punishment. What many need, quite obviously, is help. Kamala Harris wrote that in her book, The Truths We Hold. Does that sound consistent with the kind of with the brand of justice that you saw administered by offices that she was running?
It definitely sounds like Kamala Harris right now as a senator.
But at the time of her being the head district attorney of San Francisco, that is almost polar opposite of what I felt and what our community felt in San Francisco. Which is where are we? Right now, we are in Sunnydale Projects, where I was born and raised at. Now, this isn't a place that you'll want to bring outsiders into, in a place that they don't want to go. This ain't a place that feels comfortable. It feels like you might get robbed, you might get shot.
Police were keeping files on you, your brothers, and other people who were living in San from a very young age.
They already had me labeled because I'm in this community as a potential gang member, potential killer, potential drug dealer. You gotta wake up to the fact that, you know, things are set up against us.
There is a conspiracy.
Yes.
It happened to you.
Exactly. There is
proven in court.
Absolutely. Places like this have been developed for predominantly African American people to not be able to succeed beyond it.
Back to who we are, I don't see how you don't see.
You're the Lazarus. You're the dry bones. You're the prodigal son. You're the lost sheep. You're the people about whom the Bible is speaking, who will stand up in the last days when the trumpet is sounded.
I shall keep it until the end. Give me understanding, and I shall keep your law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart.